Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Talking Comics. I'm your host, Julius Freeman. Um, and I would also like to say hello to all the viewers who watch after the fact, after the live stream. I understand that a lot of the times, hold on, let me fix my, I don't know why I'm crooked. I don't know why this is still showing. There we go. I just got to even myself out there. I would like to also say hello to all of the people who watch after the fact that aren't able to watch live. So I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate the fact that after a day or two of a live stream, it's nice to see that there's over 30 people who do watch the show after the fact. So I appreciate you guys, the ones who watch after the fact, for your viewership and your likes. Remember to hit those like buttons and subscribe and hit the notification bell as well if you want to see more of this content and see this this face here that you're gonna see. You're gonna have to get used to every week until the campaign is over. So today's edition is special because it's a Saturday, and I thought that the best thing to do, especially for an indie creator, is to just put my stuff out there as much as possible to make sure that everyone knows, to make sure as many people know about the Ghetto Dragon No Good Deed book one that's now live on Indiegogo. So if let me just put up the screen here. Give me a second. Let me just bring it up so that way you guys can see where we at the moment. Hold on, this is live. Anything can happen in the live stream, right? So right now we're at 422, 84% funded. So I am humbled and thankful for your support. Though for those of you who have supported the campaign and who have contributed to the campaign, I thank you from the bottom of my heart because it shows confidence. It shows that you guys actually are looking forward to this project and you're looking forward to the story that I have to tell. And it's a story. I'll tell you that right now. It's a story that you guys will enjoy, and it's not just about action. Even though there's plenty of action, there's plenty of bone crushing action in the book. It is a story about a human being who has to struggle with his own self awareness. He has to struggle with whether or not he is a beast like the people he fights, or is he above that. And so it's a great coming of age story as well, believe it or not. And I hope you guys catch that, or hope you guys see that when you read No Good Deed, the Ghetto Dragon book one. So right now, yeah, like I said, we're at 422, 19 backers, 84%. Let's get that to 30. If you guys watch this after the fact, if you guys have any friends who will like this kind of genre, this kind of story, or this kind of book, let them know. Let them know that the Ghetto Dragon is now live on Indiegogo, and have them back it, have them contribute to the campaign, so that way they can get a copy of this great book. That's the cover. There's a cover here by Steven Seven. You could choose between these two covers, between Steven Seven or Kim Jacinto's cover. And there's a preview of the story here that you guys can check out yourselves, and you can make up your own mind as to whether or not this is something you look forward, you would enjoy. I'm confident that you will enjoy it. I worked really hard to make sure that this story is solid, to make sure that it flows smoothly. And I worked really close with the artist Alan Fletcher to make sure that we've given you the best story possible. And so I hope you guys will support this campaign um, in the coming few weeks that is still live. Hopefully, if I don't meet a certain number that I would prefer, I would probably extend it. More than likely, we'll extend it just to get a little bit extra boost. But if not, then I'll end it and it'll be an in-demand campaign after that. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I still have a lot of time left. I do plan on being on as many shows as possible to promote this campaign, and I hope that enough people will back it so that way I could get over the $1,000 mark and hopefully reach that stretch goal of $5,000. That after that, I reach that stretch goal, everyone who contributed to the campaign will get a certain amount of goodies for contributing to the campaign, even if you don't get the perks. You'll receive a complimentary print or prints of this image here that's drawn by Afu Chan, and also a few other prints that okay. So the sticker right here, and the print. If you get this cover here, you'll get a print of your choice. Actually, your choice of which print you want, this one or Steven Seven's cover. So it all depends, and hopefully, if you guys can help me reach that $5,000 stretch goal, it'd be gravy. And after beyond that, who knows what I can offer, but I will find something to offer you guys to showcase my gratitude for your support. So, without further ado, I wanted to talk about something that's that could be cringy for a lot of people, and that is constructive criticism. I wanted to do something special today. I guess to impart some of my own wisdom that I've acquired in the 10 years that I've attempted to make it into the comic book industry. And constructive criticism, I think, is one of the big hurdles that a lot of young, up and coming writers and artists have to jump over when it comes to finding their place in the industry or finding their place in the comic book community. Constructive criticism or criticism in general is something that um, it's hard to take for a lot of people. Criticism is almost artist like a artist poison in a lot of ways, because it can, if depending on the kind of criticism you do receive, it can destroy your confidence. It really can. And that's why I wanted to make this videos of the young people out there, who are from the ages of 18 to 25, who are thinking about coming out and releasing the book or starting the campaign themselves. It all depends. It all depends on how they are and how they approach things. So I hope that the knowledge and the information that I have from my own personal experience that I'm going to share with you here today will help you in the long run, because I wish I had it growing up. In my personal opinion, from the ages of 18 to 25, we run on pure ego. We take no for an answer. And a lot of the times it does help some people. When you take no for an answer and you just go for it and you just do it, sometimes it does help. Sometimes there are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, I think, especially if you are starting out, or especially if your skill set isn't as high as it should be, sometimes your pride can blind you from true growth. And what I mean by that is, there's I've met lots of artists over the years who have shown me their work, and it's hard for me to tell them the truth. It's hard for me to say you're not ready yet, because again, it's almost like an insult, right? An artist shows you something that they worked really hard to do, really hard to produce, and then to have someone say, oh, this isn't good enough, this isn't good, this isn't up, this is what I'm looking for, then that's a little difficult uh, to take, especially with doesn't draw. But I know good art when I see it. That's number one for me. I think that's the one actual gift, I guess, is that I have, is that when I look at someone's work and I can see it and follow it, then uh uh well, that's weird. I don't know if on the other end you guys can see me or not, but that was weird. The screen went blank. I don't know why. Whatever. Well, my point was that I was trying to make is that a lot of the time I recognize good art when I see it. It's a instinctual thing. I don't know what it is. I just have it. So when I see someone's pages or when I see someone's art, I could tell this is good, as opposed to this isn't really good. This person still needs a little bit of work. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about constructive criticism and how it actually is beneficial to you to take it and to receive it. And if you reject constructive criticism, you will never grow as an artist. You will remain stagnant as an artist. So I would just want to go step by step, and I would just want to define the phrase constructive criticism. So give me a second here. Let me pull up something here that I want to show you guys. So here's there we go. Constructive. Let's look at the definition of constructive. Let me zoom in here so you guys can take a close look at it. It's an adjective, right? It comes from the word construct. That's the key word, construct. That's the root word, construct, right? And what is construct or construction? It's, well, as the definition states there, is the second one is of or relating to construction or creation. Or number 3 is promoting improvement or development. And there it is, constructive criticism on the bottom there. And to construct is to build up, right? That's what construction is. You start from the ground and you build up. So that keyword constructive, that's essentially the meaning. So constructive, and you look at criticism. Let me zoom out here. I don't know why this program always gives me problems, this program. So critic, I don't have the word criticism here saved. I have the word critic because criticism comes from the word critic, right? So a critic is one who engages often professionally. Let me zoom in here so you guys can take a closer look at it. One who engages often professionally in the analysis, evaluation, or appreciation of works of art or artistic performances. So that's a critic, right? So criticism comes from the word critic, someone who engages often professionally in the analysis, that's a key word there, analysis, evaluation, or appreciation of works of art or artistic performances. So if you put those two words together, constructive criticism, it essentially means to build you up from an analysis or evaluation of a work of art. So if you want to, whenever you do hear the phrase constructive criticism, don't cringe at it, embrace it. Because constructive criticism means that the person who's given you the constructive criticism is attempting to build you up because they can see potential in you. And when they see potential in you, they need to tell you what's wrong, or they need to tell you your shortcomings as an artist so that way you can grow. It's almost like a doctor, right? When you go to the doctor when you have a pain, you have to let the doctor know precisely everything that you've been doing, so that way the doctor can properly evaluate your prognosis, so that way you can get better. And if you're not honest with the doctor, like say for instance you have a cough, right? And you smoke, but you don't tell a doctor that you smoke. You lie to the doctor and tell them, I don't understand why I have this cough. And the doctor says, well, do you smoke? And if you say no, then he's going to give you the wrong prognosis. He won't be able to give you the right information so that you can get better. Because a lot of the times, or more than likely, when you tell a doctor, yes, I do smoke, he's going to recommend you stop smoking. So that way you can get rid of the cough. Stop smoking and see if that gets rid of the cough, et cetera, et cetera. So constructive criticism is almost like a doctor trying to give you a prognosis so you can get better. So it's a critic giving you a prognosis, the artist, a prognosis so that way you can constructively become a better artist, be it a writer, artist, painter, dancer, whatever the case. This video is within the topic of storytelling. So I'll be focusing more on comics and movies and TV shows when it comes to constructive criticism and how to properly accept it. So that way you won't feel attacked. And that's a good segue to my next point. So when you take constructive criticism, it's always best to be quiet and listen. So what does that mean? Obviously, it's self-explanatory. Be quiet and listen. If you have, if you revere someone, an author, or a comic book artist, or a comic book writer, or anybody who uh, you buy their material, be it novels, movies, whatever the case, and you go to this individual and you ask them, can you please take some time out of your day to view this and let me know what you think? And let's just say, for instance, that this individual decides to do it. Because a lot of the time, people you revere, they don't have time. They don't have time to review random strangers' stuff because they got better things to do than to do that. But let's just, for the sake of this situation, this scenario, the individual that you revere, that you admire, that inspired you to become the artist that you want to be, decides, okay, I'll take time to actually look at it. And the person does look at your piece of work. It could be a short story. It could be a piece of art. Whatever the case, it's a form of expression, right? Art is expression. So it's your expression. And the person looks at it, studies it carefully, reads it over again. They're using their own knowledge to break down what they're seeing. And then they start pointing out your flaws in your work. And as the more flaws they point out, the angrier you get with every flaw that they're pointing out. Okay, because it's normal. I get it. I've been there. I've been at the receiving end of someone breaking down my work and telling me that I still needed time to get better. Can you imagine something that I gave them? It took me 6 months to develop and write and work really hard to make sure everything was smooth. Then they end up telling me, like, is this your first draft? When I've given them my 6th draft. It's very frustrating and heartbreaking at the same time. So I know that pain. I feel that pain. I've been there before. And so going back to the scenario, just be quiet and listen. Don't, because I know the first reaction. I know what the first reaction is going to be. You're going to be defensive. You're going to want to attack, because essentially what this person you revere, who inspired you to become the artist you want to be, is breaking down your stuff and telling you that you're not good. Essentially telling you you still need to work. You're still writing like an amateur, or you're still producing stuff like an amateur. You want to attack that person, and you're heartbroken because the person that inspired you to be the artist you want to be is telling you you're not good. So just take a deep breath and just take the criticism. Because I know the first reaction is to attack, because the piece of art that you've given this person, it's a piece of you. That's what art is. Art is your expression. It's your human expression. It comes from the heart. It comes from your mind. It comes from your experience of life, and it's encapsulated in this piece of work. And here's this person telling you it's not good. So I get the pain. I get the pain, and I get the anger. I totally get it. But don't take it personal. Okay, just be quiet and listen. Because this person who you revere, is the reason why he or she is in the position that they're in, is because they've proven themselves to sell whatever, books, paintings, comics, movies, TV shows, whatever the case. They've proven themselves that they, got the formula, and they are able to deliver a story in a way that captures the audience's attention. And that's essentially what writers and artists are doing. They're trying to capture the attention of the reader. They're trying to hook them. So when you are met with not just maybe, okay, so that's one scenario, right? So let's just say that it's not a person you revere. Let's just say it's not a person that you were inspired by. Let's say it's a peer, a writer peer, or an artist who's also, who happens to do the same thing you do, and you show them, hey, what do you think about this, and they do the same thing. Again, don't take it personal. Be quiet and listen, because that's the only way you're going to get better. The only way you're going to get better. And that's number one, is be quiet and listen. Be quiet and listen, because that is the best way to take in the information. Because that's important. It's important to take in the information, because if you don't take in the information and you reject it, you're never going to grow. That's what keeps you stagnant. Right there. Don't take it personal. Because like I said, I understand why you would take constructive criticism personal, especially when they tell you the truth. Because again, it's because you put your heart, your soul, your sweat, and your tears into this piece of work. Even if you didn't put the whole thing, it's still somewhere in there. And so when someone you revere takes the time to look at your stuff, or your peer takes the time to look at your stuff, or someone outside your friends and family takes a look at your stuff, and they tell you that you're not cutting it or you need work, don't take it personal. So be quiet and listen, and don't take it personal. It's as simple as that. That's hard. That's really hard to do, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's when you're from the age of 18 to 25, or 27, that's I go up to 27, you're running on pure ego. And there is no and that's what blinds you. Your ego is the veil that is put over the eyes of your insecurity. Because your ego or your pride, that's what covers up your insecurity. And you have to break down the walls of pride, so that way your insecurity can come out and be exposed to the light of truth, or to the light of constructive criticism. Because constructive criticism, remember, is to construct, is to build you up, is to tell you the truth. And once your insecurity is exposed to that, you should be able to soak it in, so that way you can become secure in your work. Or the other word is confident. See, there's a difference between pride or overconfidence to confident. Confident is when you know you're good, when you know you have the skill set and you know you can deliver, but you're not arrogant about it. You're actually, see, your ego blinds you, but you're actually humble. You're confident and humble. See, analyze and learn. That was what I just said right now. You take in all the information, the constructive criticism, which is, i.e., truth, and you get rid of the pride, you get rid of the ego, just try to get rid of it. Expose your insecurity. Expose your insecurity, so that way when you do receive the constructive criticism, i.e., truth, to your insecurity, you can analyze the information and you can learn from that information. And when you learn and analyze from that information, that's when you become secure. Secure and confident and humble. Your humility. See, there's the definition of confident. Full of conviction, certain. You become certain of yourself, confident in yourself, because you're able to learn how to take in constructive criticism to grow. Remember, to construct, to build you up, to become a better artist or storyteller. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I've experienced that a lot. Let's see, there's one more. Humble, not proud or haughty, not arrogant, or assertive. Humility is the key to your growth, not your pride, not your ego, definitely not your insecurity. Humility or humbleness, whatever you want to call it, that's the key to growth, to true growth. That's when you're able to take in the constructive criticism and realize, yes, I am a student of this craft and I want to learn. I need to learn if I want to make it to the level of success. At some point in Stephen King's life, he was rejected. His book on writing, which I highly recommend that you buy or you read, you should own a copy of it. If you are a writer, a comic book writer, a novelist, whatever, you should own a copy of Stephen King's On Writing because it's very insightful. There's a story in that book that stuck with me, where he talks about when he started submitting stories to publishers, he was rejected over 100 times, and he kept his rejection letters on his wall. And it got to so many rejection letters that he actually had a stack. It was like a stack of like this thick of rejection letters that he received from publishers saying that it's not something we're looking for. We're sorry. That's Stephen King. He is the highest grossing novelist to date. And he had a stack this big of rejection letters that his novels were not good enough to be published. Not in those words, but the double speak euphemisms of rejection letters typically mean your stuff's not good enough for us. That's essentially what rejection letters are. But yet he persevered. He learned from his mistakes, and then in the book, in his book, he went on to say that later on, as the stack got bigger and bigger, he realized he started getting constructive criticism letters from publishers who rejected him. So it went from straight up, flat out rejection, and it slowly worked its way up to an actual letter of constructive criticism from the publisher who said, hey, well, if you work on this and this and this, you be right up there and we'll be ready to publish you. And so instead of rejecting it, he soaked it in. He took it in and he exposed that constructive criticism, i.e. truth, to his insecurity. And when his insecurity was exposed to that light of truth, to the constructive criticism, he was able to grow. He was able to construct himself to what he is now. Inspiring story. He's not alone. There's lots of them. Rod Serling, the creator of the Twilight Zone and Night Gallery. Everyone knows who Rod Serling is. If you are a writer who wants to make it in Hollywood, or wants to be published as a novelist, or wants to be a screenwriter, you have to know the name of Rod Serling. You must know Rod Serling's name. He also had the same story. He was rejected over and over and over and over again when he started his writing career. And once again, he also did say, I'm pretty sure there's an interview you could find on YouTube. Again, stacks of rejection letters. And then finally, he found an agent who believed in his work, and the agent worked day and night to make sure he got work. And that's exactly what happened. That's when he got the Twilight Zone. Well, not Twilight Zone. He got a TV gig as a TV writer when TV was brand new, when it was born, when people didn't know what to do with this new medium called television. But then eventually led to Twilight Zone, and that's when he hit his stride, when he got the Twilight Zone show. And again, he probably, no doubt, took the constructive criticism, and he grew. He grew as a writer, and he became the one of the most famous and successful writers to date. Not to date, but at the time, he was the most successful television writer in America, because the Twilight Zone was a monster success during its peak, during its heyday. And of course, the advertisers and television got their meddling hands in it, and they ruined it, just like everything else, right? They're poisonous. They have poisonous fingers. But going back to the topic of constructive criticism, whoever is out there, whoever watches this after the fact, because I know a lot of people are not watching this live stream right now, but When you watch after the fact and you listen to this video, I just want you guys to know you have to keep going. You can't stop. It's taking me 10 years to finally get the nerve to do this, what I'm doing now. To sit here in my room with a camera in my face, with a microphone near my mouth, and putting myself out there. Before, like 2 or 3 years ago, you would have never caught me dead doing this because I was too painfully shy. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. But I know this is the future. I have to do this if I want to get my name out there. Because if I don't get my name out there, if I don't continually, make this, put this content out there, you're not going to know the name Julius Freeman. You're not going to care about Julius Freeman. All you're going to care about is whatever, whoever else that's out there selling their stuff. And so constructive criticism is key to growth. Just remember that always. I know it's tough. I know it's really tough to do because, like I said, you're putting your heart and soul on paper, and it's hard to have someone tell you that you're not good enough. But don't take it as that. Don't take it as someone telling you you're not good enough. Take it as they want to build you up. They want to help you get better, but they have to give you the painful medicine of truth, i.e., constructive criticism. You have to take the medicine. I have a saying that I live by. I prefer the bitter taste of truth than the sweet taste of lies. That's ever since that I took that phrase that I made up and I implanted it in my mind and I kept it there. And I said, okay, I'd rather taste the bitterness of truth than the sweetness of lies. Because the truth does set you free. I don't care what anyone says. The truth sets you free. I'll tell you a personal story of mine. I once met a writing agent, and he was nice enough to consider me as a client. And so he told me, send me your stuff. So I sent him my stuff, thinking this is my moment. This is my chance. I'm finally going to get representation. I'm finally going to showcase that I'm actually worth the time. I'm worth the money. I'm worth the effort to get jobs in Hollywood, to get writing gigs. And after a week of no response, he finally got back to me and he told me, you still need a lot of work. And he broke down every single thing that I wrote. So in other words, all the files, all the short stories and the ideas and summaries that I sent him, he sent them back to me, and it was full of red colored, not ink, because he didn't use red pen. He used the Microsoft Word, but he just colored the letter, his critiques red, and all of them, every single one, every single file was full of red. And those were my 6th, 7th drafts of stuff. And he told me, is this your 2nd or 3rd draft? And I had to, I'll admit, it kind of set me back. It did set me back. It set me back because it devastated me. And I started second guessing myself. Am I not good enough? And again, that's your ego. That's your ego protecting your insecurity. Your ego is telling you, nah, fuck him. I know better. He just doesn't get my vision. He doesn't get me. And that wasn't true. Not at all. Not at all. And so you may be put in that position in the future or down the line, but just remember, you can only get better with constructive criticism. Never reject it. Always take it. And like in the list, analyze and learn. Analyze and learn. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, is to analyze and learn from your mistakes, learn from what other people have told you to do, especially those who know what they're doing. And don't ever let anyone else tell you that you're not good enough, because you are good enough if you're passionate about it. If you're passionate about it, then you're going to take the time and effort to get better. And that's what I did. It really devastated me when the writing agent um, told me I wasn't good enough yet. I still needed a lot of work and that I needed to go back to basics. That's what he told me. You know what that meant? It meant I had to learn grammar and punctuation again, as if I'm going to elementary school. That really hurt. But after about 6 months of pouting, I finally came to my senses and said, maybe he's right. And so that's what I did. I went back to basics. I bought a copy of, you know, White and Strunk, I think, the grammar book. I bought a whole bunch of books. I bought Story by McKee, Robert McKee. I bought Mark Twain's On Writing. I bought Stephen King's On Writing. I bought books about how to properly structure stories. I studied my ass off to make sure that I had all the rules and set in motion implanted in my head. And it took me 5 years. And now I feel confident to put my stuff out there for the world to see. I have a novel that I've written already. I finished the novel, but I'm waiting on a few things so that way I could properly prepare it and release it, or hopefully on Amazon as an ebook. But I have written a novel. It took me 5 years to write that novel, but I feel like I've written a really good novel that I hope to share with you guys one day. But that's gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait and see on that one because, like I said, I'm still waiting on a few things so that I can make sure it gets properly produced. But that's it. That's all I have for this video. This video is strictly to hopefully share you guys, hopefully provide some wisdom for the youngsters out there who want to make it in the comic book industry, be it the Marvel or DC route or Image Comics route or the crowdfunding route. Readers are conditioned now to know what a good story is, because our country, or our culture, I should say, is built on that. That's what we rely on. We watch television shows, we watch movies, we read books, we read comics, we watch animated TV shows. Some of us watch Japanese anime. Everything is a story, right? Even the news media, the news narrative, they have a narrative that tells you a story. If you're a professional wrestling fan like WWE or AEW, they're telling you a story. So we understand story. So you can't fool the reader anymore. I mean, yeah, the reader or the consumer. You can't fool them. You have to give them what they expect. And if you don't give them what they expect, they're not going to buy your stuff. They're not going to support you. I'll give you an example. Christopher Nolan, right? Christopher Nolan is a revered director now. Most people love Christopher Nolan. There's few people, there's exceptions, obviously, to the rule. There's a lot of people who don't like Christopher Nolan. But there's people who love Christopher Nolan, and the reason why they love Christopher Nolan is because he is the total package. He gives you a high concept idea in the movie, but he gives you a human story. That's why Inception did so well. I'm going to use Inception as an example, not his other movies. Inception is a perfect example of how he beautifully intertwined both the high concept idea and a human story. So the high concept idea was what? It was the dream within the dream concept, right? That you could enter someone's dream and steal ideas from their dreams, from their subconscious. But the human story was what? It was that he wanted to get back to his children. He was a father who was on the run because his wife lost her mind and she committed suicide, but she made it look like he murdered her. And so he had to run the country. He had to leave. And so in the movie, when you find out Leonardo DiCaprio's character's backstory, you feel for the guy. You want him to succeed because you want him reunited with his children. And then the whole movie is the roller coaster ride that it is, right? And then in the end, it ends with the happy ending, or does it? See, that's very objectively speaking. Christopher Nolan understands the rules of storytelling and he knows how to use it well. Now, on the flip side, let's look at the flip side of things, right? Let's look at Zack Snyder. Now, of course, Zack Snyder has his detractors. He also has his hardcore fans. There's lots of people who love Zack Snyder movies, and I understand why, because Zack Snyder does have a good eye for flashiness, but he doesn't have the understanding of story essentials. He tries, but he just doesn't have it. And I know a lot of Zack Snyder fans might get mad at me after the fact, but this is not an attack on Zack Snyder. I like Zack Snyder. He's a popcorn director. He's what I call a popcorn director. He's someone who makes a movie where you sit down, you eat a popcorn, you enjoy it. Okay, Christopher Nolan's more cerebral. Christopher Nolan is the type of director you sit down, you eat your popcorn, but you're holding that popcorn piece and you're trying to, it's like, wow, your brain is working while you're watching the movie, which is I like too. Not a lot of people like that, but I love that. I prefer that. But Zack Snyder, on the flip side, is a popcorn movie director. So saying that, the flaw that I personally see from Zack Snyder is that he doesn't have the human element of his flashy, directing style. He has the other elements, the high concept and the, special effects and the action element. He has that down to a T. I'm not denying that whatsoever. I got to give credit where credit is due. But when it comes down to the human factor of the story, the things that connect the audience to the characters, he lacks that. That's why Batman v Superman was so um was so I guess you could say divisive when it came to people loving it or hating it. Because the scene that I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about is the Martha scene, right? When Batman has him on the ground, he's about to stab him with the spear, and then of course Superman says must save Martha, and then Ben Affleck's, Bruce Wayne's like, why did you say that name? And then he doesn't kill him, and all of a sudden he's best friends with them. And so of course the audience, the majority of the audience were like, that was stupid, myself included. And the reason why is because there was no proper setup for it. It was almost like a cop out in a lot of ways, and that's why it didn't work for me anyway. For me, personally speaking, I know it worked for a lot of people. People don't care about the Martha scene, but I did, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people will agree with me. And I'm gonna read you a quote from Rod Serling. I think he captures what I'm trying to say perfectly. So bear with me here. I'm gonna find this quote here. I'm gonna try to find it here. I know I have it written somewhere here in my journal. I wrote it down because I thought it was perfectly said, well said. Let's see here. This was about his writing philosophy. Give me a second. Somewhere I have it right here. Should have done a better job making sure I had this ready, right? Sorry about that. Just hold on. I have it here somewhere. Gosh, I don't know, where is it at? I had it here. I wrote it down. Well, dang. I thought I had it here, but I guess I don't have it here. I could have swore I made a note of it to make sure I would add it to the stream here, but it looks like I don't. Gosh. Oh, here we go. Okay. Found it. Sorry about that. So here's what he says about what I'm talking about why the Zack Snyder, that little element, that human element that's missing in most of his movies, by the way. But specifically the Batman v Superman, because I wanted to like Batman v Superman. I actually do like Batman v Superman, but not at the level of admiration as most people would love, like say Avengers Endgame or Captain America Winter Soldier. It was a good popcorn movie, but it didn't leave me, I guess you could say, connected to the characters. So here I'm gonna read this to you, okay? So I want you guys to rewind this and write this down because it's very, very rich wisdom here. And if you follow this, I would say it's going to probably get your writing to a better percentage wise in terms of telling a good story. So here it is. The principle, and I quote, the principal obligation you have as the writer is to go to a climax, which interests and excites, and if it doesn't satisfy, at least makes an audience sit up and take notice of it. It must also be valid. It must take the various character traits of the individuals involved in your story and make them do something or react to something as their nature dictates. This is to say that, for example, you're dealing with a Quaker pacifist who is constantly being beaten around the head by the neighborhood bully, and who suddenly, at one given moment in his life, says, I will not turn my cheek again, I will hit back, and does so. You must absolutely believe that there is a moment when a man will turn his back on a fundamental belief and do something foreign to his nature. Very important. Or the reverse is true. You can show a bully who all his life has stepped on people, who does it out of a sense of sheer cruelty, who has no sense of the value of the dignity of other human beings or the feelings of other human beings. And in the given moment in time, put into a position where he has a chance to save someone he couldn't care less about, but literally risked his life to do so. There must be a reason he does it. And the believable, see that? A believable explanation as to why he does it. And the fact that you believe he does it. This is the sort of thing you must do. And I think that's the major complaint that a lot of people have for a lot of movies and TV shows. What's the saying that everyone says? It didn't make sense. See that? And so going back to, so I can wrap this up. Going back to this whole to the theme of this video is that constructive criticism, if you're a writer, is the best thing you can take. It's the best thing to receive when you do receive it, because it's meant to build you up, not to build you down. And here's my recommendation to all of you who will listen to this video afterwards. And that is this: if you are serious about putting yourself out there, if you are ready and willing to put it all on the line, I recommend you show your stuff before you send it out to the public to 3 or 4 different people outside your friends and family, because your friends and family are never going to tell you the truth. Your friends and family are going to tell you what you want to hear, because that's what they do. That's their role, and that's okay. Your friends and family should support you in whatever it is that you do. But if you are a serious artist who wants to make it, who wants to be out there in the world and sell your stuff to the public, I highly recommend you find 3 or 4 peers or someone who's been published, or someone who is a master of their craft, whatever the case, and you take the constructive criticism from them, from 3 or 4 different people, and then there'll be a common thread that you will see. If you see a common thread, and I mean 4 people who don't know each other either, who have no idea about each other's existence whatsoever, you find 3 or 4 of them, you have them look at your stuff, or you could hire an editor, whatever. Hire an editor, hire a better reader, whatever the case, and have them tell you the truth. What are my weak points? Do I have too many run-on sentences? Am I using too many adjectives? Am I using too many adverbs? Do I not know how to cut my paragraphs? Are the characters weak? Are they cliche? Are there a lot of cliches? Is the story weak, or is it too much? Is it too dense? Is it too fast? These are the things you have to face, because if you don't, you will never grow. Remember, analyze and learn. So let's review. Okay? Be quiet and listen. That's number 1. Don't take it personal. That's number 2. Your ego blinds you from your insecurity. Get rid of your ego. Okay? If you find yourself getting mad when someone is giving you constructive criticism, take a deep breath and remind yourself, it's my ego talking. You must expose your insecurity to the light of truth, i.e., constructive criticism. Analyze and learn. Soak in the knowledge, soak in the information. Remember, expose your insecurity to the light of truth, i.e., constructive criticism. Analyze your shortcomings, learn from them, grow from them, and then eventually you'll construct yourself up to where you want to be at. And then be confident and humble afterwards. So once you do the work, the nasty, dirty work of exposing your insecurity to constructive criticism, and you build yourself up, you use the constructive criticism to build yourself up, become confident and remain humble. If you have those two with you at all times, you will find success down the line. Maybe not overnight, maybe not right away, but if you remain steadfast with confidence and humility, you will make it in some form or fashion. Maybe not in the level of Stephen King, but selling a few hundred copies or a few thousand copies, that's still pretty good. That's great. At least you're selling copies. And then you'll have a reader base who will like your work and will continue to purchase your new books when you do produce them. So that's my advice to all of you in terms of dealing with constructive criticism. Leave a comment down below if you want to add on to this video, or if you have your own personal experiences or your own personal knowledge that you want to share with the people who subscribe to this channel. By all means, go ahead and do it. And I'll try to interact with you guys as well. And follow me on Twitter. There's my Twitter handle right there, Elusive Comic. And follow me there, and then we'll have some more conversations about building up. Remember, I want to build up. I want to mend fences. I don't want to separate myself. If you're serious about making it, I'm more than happy to share the knowledge I've acquired in the past 10 years of all of my failures. Andy Kaufman once was quoted saying, "The secret to success is failure." And I've failed for the past 10 years, but the more I fail, the closer I get to success, because every failure I've learned from, and I've never done the same mistake twice. I made a mistake back in February when I launched the Indiegogo campaign cold, without a YouTube channel, without a strong social media presence. And since then, I've worked my ass off to build it up. And now I have a YouTube channel and I have a stronger social media presence. Not at the level I would like it to be, but I'm getting there. The key is to make mistakes, but to learn from them. Remember that, guys. So there's that, guys. There's the special edition of Talking Comics, taking constructive criticism. I hope you guys will watch this again. And I hope you guys take notes. Take notes, and if you have questions or concerns, leave a comment and I'll answer them. I'll answer the questions the best I can. And so stay safe out there. I know there's a rally going on in Washington, D.C., a pro-Trump rally, and I have seen videos of Trump supporters being attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter, which is horrendous. I don't know why they're doing that, but it's happening. So if you're over there, be safe. Stay indoors. Don't engage. I hope you guys remain safe with that. It's just a shame that this is happening, especially since last weekend Biden supporters were on the street and no one got attacked by anyone, which is telling, very telling. But that's neither here or there. I just wanted to mention that because it's in the news. I'm seeing that on my Twitter feed, and it upsets me when I see stuff like that because I don't like violence. I'm not a violent person by nature. I prefer we work things out through persuasion and compromise and talking, discussing. But we live in different times now where people are, for some reason, don't want to sit down and talk. They just want to attack you if you don't agree with them, which is, in my opinion, tyranny. That's my opinion, of course, but that's another topic for another video. So I just want to make an announcement here. This Wednesday, I will be going live as well. And this Wednesday, I will have a guest on my show, Talking Comics, with his name is Matt C. He is the creator of Kyrie, I want to say. Hold on, let me log into my Twitter account so I can show you guys who this person is. He and I are going to talk about philosophy in comics. So, hold on, give me a second. Let me just log in here so you guys can. Whoops, what the heck? Kyrie, it's a book that I think he has on Indiegogo, and I've always liked his YouTube videos. I always wanted to have a conversation with this guy because I liked his viewpoint on philosophy as well in comics. And so let me find him here on Twitter so that way you guys can know who I'm talking about. Matt, that's his name. He has a book called Kyrie. He will be joining me on Talking Comics this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So it'll be 10 o'clock Eastern time, which I apologize for. But he insisted that was the only time he is available for the being the guest on the show. So Matt Krotz will be joining me this coming Wednesday on Talking Comics Live, and we're going to talk philosophy and comics and how they go hand in hand. And they do go hand in hand. A little sneak peek of what we're talking about, or what we're going to be talking about, is how people implement their own personal philosophies into these books. When Alan Moore wrote Swamp Thing, Alan Moore was very outspoken for environmental issues. He was all about protecting the environment. So what did he do? He wrote Swamp Thing as a environmentalist protector, the creature that protects the environment from those who are destroying it. Animal Man by Grant Morrison. Animal Man is I think he was a vegan, and so what did he do? He made the character vegan. And since he has a different kind of set of philosophy ideas, and metaphysically he's out there, he made Animal Man into a philosophical, metaphysical piece of work that is still revered to this day. And that's a sneak peek of what we'll be talking about. But that's what we want to talk about: philosophy in comics and how people put in their own personal philosophies into these books. And the key, I guess, is do you put it outward in your face, or do you subtly put it underneath the story so that way you don't lose your readership? So that'll be a topic of discussion, and hopefully you guys will join us then, so that way we can explore just how deep the comic book medium can be when it comes to philosophy and comics. So with that said, join me and Matt Krotz, Matt C. You can follow him at Matt Krotz on Twitter. He has a book called Kyrie. You should check it out. It's on he has a Indiegogo account. He has a YouTube channel and a Patreon and a SoundCloud. I wonder what he has a SoundCloud for. Maybe it's for his podcast. I don't know. I guess I'll ask him when he's on the show. And so I highly recommend you check out his work. He is a talented writer in his own right, and I think he's going places with the right opportunities. And I think he's already fulfilled his campaign for Indiegogo, so that's a good sign right there. That shows that he is a legit artist who will fulfill his campaign for those who do back his campaign. So join me on Wednesday for a live edition of Talking Comics with Matt Krotz, where we talk philosophy and comics. And I hope to see you then. And don't forget to contribute to the Indiegogo campaign, Ghetto Dragon Book 1, No Good Deed, that is now live. We're at 422 at 19 backers. Let's get it to 30 this week. Let's get there. Let's push it. Let's push it to the limit and show the world that the Ghetto Dragon is needed in the world full of uncertainty, full of street bullies and street tyrants who want to destroy the innocent. Matt Guerra, the Ghetto Dragon, is someone who's going to stand up against bullying and going to make sure that they remember the name of the Ghetto Dragon. So back that today. Tell your friends about it. Tweet, retweet, talk about it on YouTube streams if you have them. Join me on my live stream. And if you want me on your live stream, hit me up. I'll be more than happy to go on your show and we could talk comics. We could do, whatever it is that you want to talk about on your show, on top of promoting the Ghetto Dragon No Good Deed. So I hope you guys back that. And for those who watch after the fact, I thank you once again for taking the time to watch my video on constructive criticism. Hopefully I provided enough information for you guys to learn from. And now I want to end this video with one final quote by the great Rod Serling. And I think this is probably the best quote I want to say about writing. And once again, rewind this video and write down the quote, so that way you can gain the wisdom, because this is rich wisdom. Again, Rod Serling was a grandmaster of writing stories, and I think every writer who is serious about making comics or writing movies or whatever the case should study Rod Serling, because he was anyway a grandmaster writer, and his works still hold up to this very day in the 21st century. So here's the quote that I leave you with. Rod Serling, and I quote, "I think self-knowledge is one of the beautiful and marvelous and creative aids that we have. Know thyself, because you can look at yourself in the mirror and get a whole list of all the human attributes and human frailties that are extant. Whatever is wrong with you is conceivably wrong with most of your peers. Whatever is decent and good and fine and caring that is a part of your nature is also the meritorious aspects of, again, your peers. But if you know yourself," and this is one of the marvelous key self-tests that you can make all the time in your writing. Just a piece of dialogue, would I say it, and if I heard it, when I believe it, that kind of thing. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you guys watch this video, take notes, and don't be afraid of constructive criticism. Always take it in, soak it in, because the more you soak in constructive criticism, the better and bigger you'll grow, like an oak tree or a redwood tree. You want to be a redwood tree when you're an artist. You don't want to be a small, weak tree that falls over at the first, sight of a wind. You want to be a big, glorious redwood tree, full of wisdom and knowledge and observation of life, and just rich of knowledge and information. And when someone tells you that you need work on something, on your sentence structure or whatever the case, listen to it, take it in. So with that said, I would like to tell you guys, stay safe, be excellent to each other, party on, dudes, and have a great Saturday. See you guys. Take care.